Two, I'm back. I'm back. This is your girl Adina, and we are here with our second offering of the Liberated Pussy podcast. I am going to be speaking with my sister in spirit, Monique Ruffin, all the way from LA. I'm going to invite her right now. So we back. we back. And I got my fan. There she is.
Good. How you doing, everybody?
We are doing fantastic. You know, we get this technology together and we coordinate together. I was telling
Thank you so much.
them, of course,
All
of,
right.
of course. I was telling them about our orange today, our sacral chakra color, our color of the negotiator, and I even got a fan with some orange in it.
Nice,
Yes,
nice,
she looks
nice.
gorgeous, darling, darling,
Thank you.
darling.
You look beautiful also. I am
Thank
very
you.
grateful to be here with you.
Ashe.
Um, yes. So, what's going on? What we starting with?
We are going to start with the astrology because you are the moon mama. If y'all don't know, Monique is an
Okay.
amazing astrology, talented, gifted, well studied, and backed by the power of ancestor, okay?
Yes,
And Almighty God, Goddess,
yes,
Him herself.
yes, yes.
So tell us what the universe is doing so that we can be in accordance with that.
Okay, this is so beautiful. Thank you for this. So, um, today is a Venus day, and Venus is currently retrograde in Leo it's like at the 20th degree of Leo. So, this Venus retrograde energy is really inviting us into deep, radical self-love.
Mm.
It's it's giving us the invitation to truly see the places where we abandon ourselves for something external.
Mm.
And, I always like to try to explain, I talk about the astrology, but then I like to talk about my own personal experience of it so people can understand how practical astrology
Mhm.
is, right?
Mhm.
So, right now, if you have relationships, right, and it's not about like we think of relationships and we think of, romance or if somebody is good to us or not, or how, we have these cultural narratives around the way relationships are meant to work. And that is not true. So what
Mhm.
happens, what Venus does is Venus creates expectation of the
Mm.
external.
Ashe.
Venus, because Venus is the mirror. Venus is the reflection. Oshun, right? The
Mhm. Mhm.
love. And so what happens is for most of our lifetimes, I'll talk about myself. Even though at the deepest level, I know that love does not come from outside of me. Because of all of the conditioning and the music and the stories and the romantic notions, I have had a internal desire for somebody outside of me to validate my sense of love,
Mm.
my sense of belonging, my value, right? It's
Mhm.
because the movie, and it's also ancestral because of the timing and all that sort of stuff. But so this Venus in Leo is asking us to to look at the places where you have externalized expectations for love, where you
Ashe.
have been waiting for somebody else to give you something that no one else can give you. And then we have Mars and Virgo. So Mars and Virgo is really the cleanup crew, is what it
Mm.
is. Virgo is about getting things in order. And Mars and Virgo says, get your shit in line, like
Mhm.
really. And so Mars is in Virgo and it's in conjunct with Chiron and Aries.
Mm.
So it is saying the places where you have abandoned yourself, see it so that you can take full responsibility for the pain, right? So this is a painful transit.
Mhm.
And when I say painful, that's different for every person,
Mhm.
right? It's uncomfortable. Let's say it that way. Some
Okay.
people could be really going through breakups where
Mhm.
the relationships are showing how people had unspoken expectations. Some people can really be going through health challenges
Mhm.
because you abandon yourself and you haven't been eating correctly or taking care of your body. And so now it's time to pay up. It's like, all right, come on now. So that's really, we're in this pay up time. We're in this time where the dues are coming, the payment is coming due. Let's say it that way. The payment is coming due. And so what's there is who you is what the behavior that you have been, the internal, the energies that you have been driving yourself by. And and that is asking us to feel that pain, because Venus is about feeling it. So feel that discomfort. Be truthful with yourself. Like, tell yourself the truth about it.
I say, look, I gotta put some bell on that.
Right, absolutely. And it's such an interesting thing, because I can see in my life where I can just be like, oh, that's not that big of a deal. But sometimes little things like I'm noticing for me, staying in touch with people who I don't have relationships that are integrity, like staying in touch with relationships that really didn't suit me, staying connected in places that really didn't meet me with who I was. But so like, where is it in me that I like to play small, or that I like to be treated like I'm unworthy, or like I don't deserve? Where am I doing that to myself? Right? So this is the work of this transit that's happening. And the sun is in Leo. And so it's go back to your childhood. Because the sun is in Leo, this started in your childhood. These patterns began in your childhood. And they started with little, really simple things. Like, you know, you could be a little girl. And like, I remember one time my mother made a comment that a little girl was pretty. And maybe I was 4 or so. And I looked at the little girl, and I can remember today, plain as day, right? She was light skinned. She had very dark hair that was pulled back in ponytails. And I looked at her and was like, well, what about her is pretty?
Right.
And realized that wasn't me. And my mother, right? So that experience right there gave me some information about me and my mother that created a lifetime struggle inside of me abandoning myself and thinking it's out there and somebody else. So go back to your childhood to see where these things are coming up. So anyway, so that's the astrology. Thank you.
It's so resonant with our conversation this morning, and so resonant with what we're talking about, the liberated pussy or liberated yoni, or however folks want to say it. Those images, those memories that are still, unless we uproot them and plant them, uproot them and discard them rather than plant them. They're already planted. We need to take the roots, take it out by the root, and recognize, it's not serving. Like you said, it's no longer serving. It served you to get to the point of noticing that pretty is not like a one size fits all.
Yes, that's
pretty
right.
has been packaged to us like Barbie, the whole Barbie thing right now. The homogenisticness of what pretty is or isn't. But we know that pretty is how we all decide to define it. But that is hard for a little girl. I'm hugging little Monique right now. Pretty little Monique. I'm hugging her. That my boo. She is beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I really deeply appreciate that. And you're right. We have been given these definitions and these ideas of what beauty is, what love is, what wealth is, all of these ideas that we take on. And this astrology is saying, let's redefine that. Let's recode ourselves. And so that's why I'm really grateful that we're in this conversation as we prepare for the course that you're going to be teaching on the womb work, because it is what I have discovered, and I think you would agree with this, is that the work is real.
So real. So real. It's internal, but you see the external happen. You see the effects of your internal work. It is so real. So we've been taught that what is internal is not really real. It's not reality. Like people say that all the time. I'm in reality. It's like, well, what the hell is that? Because we know we create reality.
That's right.
So if we create it, how do we create it? And that's the internal work. The beautiful video that both you and I posted of the Montgomery thing. I know everybody knows, has by this time knows about the thing that happened in Montgomery, Alabama last week. But to have 32 Black women do a ritual at the water 2 hours before that event happened, that's real. That's real. The vibration was set for unity. The vibration was set for a different way of that manifesting.
Yeah.
And around the world, melanated people, for the most part, we're cheering that. It's like, yes, we stuck together. We came in unity for this brother. We're not going to let this be an Eric Garner, any of those kinds of another name on a t-shirt. Yeah. We're like, no.
Yes.
So the internal work happened at that spot before that trigger happened. Mm-hmm. And that just gives me chills.
Yes.
It gives me chills.
It is such a powerful thing when we begin to realize how powerful we really are. And, right. Yes, like, you know, that 32 women can go and do a ritual, and the video said they sort of been in practice for a while, and that was the end of their ritual. And at the end of their ritual, then this thing happens. And so it's important for us to realize that our thoughts are really real. Our words do cut through the reality. You know, our bodies, we have to live in them, because the magic and the power that we need to be here on the system, in this planet, is through our bodies, right? And so it's just a profound time to be alive. It is so profound. So I wanted today for us, what were some of the things, girl?
We were talking about radical self-love. So y'all, me and Monique are sisters. We talk every week, almost every day sometimes, depending on what's going on. But radical self-love is what we said we wanted to talk about, at least start the conversation there. And what is that? What is self-love? What does it mean to radically love yourself? What does that mean? How can we embody that?
Yes, absolutely. Whew, it takes my breath away a little bit, because, you know, love is, I have always, when I was young, I believed that love, like I was saying earlier, was something that was externalized, was something that I had to get from another person. And when I remember when I started doing the work of self-love, I can say today what I didn't really know then, but I could feel it, was that I almost was angry that I had to be the one to love myself.
Why can't they do it? Why can't they love me?
Right. Yeah. And the years of work have shown me that that anger came from having an abandonment experience with my mother, because we, as human beings, we need connection and community. We need that in order to be healthy. We really do. So not bonding with my mother early on created a deep hole inside of me that had me really yearning for love from this external thing. But the thing is, it occurred, like, my mother really wasn't external. She was just an extension of me, right? Your mother is just an extension of you. So because that aspect of me wasn't loving me, because she wasn't loving herself, I yearned for something like, when you're, like, if you don't have enough vitamin D, your body will say, you need this vitamin D, right? And I didn't mean to say vitamin D, but you know what I mean. I mean,
all of it. Both
right,
kinds, y'all.
Right.
Vitamin D.
That's right. So there is a deep feeling of abandonment that I was resentful for. I didn't feel like I was the one that had to be responsible for feeling that, because in the right world, so to say, the mother would bond with, and you wouldn't have that leftover feeling, right? So when I started to realize that, oh fuck, I gotta love myself.
Sure.
So for a long time, I didn't even know. Like now, I can see that I was just playing at it. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? I was still doing the thing, hoping I was
Mm-hmm.
gonna find somebody else, and playing at this thing. And I am grateful that there's like, even though I wasn't really taking it seriously, it was still what I was doing. And I'm grateful for that,
Mm-hmm.
because sooner or later I got to a place where I realized, oh, this is real.
Mm-hmm.
My mother is never going to be able to come and give me the love that I want.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody is ever going to get, like, I had to really realize that so that I could begin to take my self-love practices seriously.
Yes. I feel sad a little bit when you say my mother was never going to be able to love me. Like, I feel sad for little Monique, because that is a kind of a startling feeling, because as a baby and as a mother myself, like you say, you feel like your mother is supposed to love you. I
Yes.
can relate with your abandonment piece, not from my mother, because my mother was there and she did give me that. But I had, when my parents divorced, I felt that with my father. So I understand, I deeply understand that feeling and how that resonates even as an adult, unless you uproot it and heal it. And that's what we're talking about.
Yes, 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 yes. So this self-love piece, thank you for that, Adina. The self-love piece is a real profound practice of being curious about who
Mm-hmm.
you are,
Ashe.
and what your needs are,
Ashe.
and then making it your business
Mm-hmm.
and responsibility to get your needs met. That's what makes it radical.
Church ladies
And
say Ashe.
and the other thing that makes it radical is that you don't let anything get in the way
Mm-hmm.
of what you need to
Mm-hmm.
have to feel loved. You're not going to abandon yourself because somebody else says that looks funny, or why are you
Mm-hmm.
doing that, or you're
Mm-hmm.
too much, or you,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is
Mm-hmm.
you need,
Yeah.
whatever it is you
Yeah.
need, it is your responsibility,
Mm.
and you must fulfill
That's
it. So
a
that is
scary
my
thing, Monique.
definition of, huh?
I think that's scary for women in particular, because we have been taught that everything comes externally, and especially through the masculine. Like, they will take care of you, they will love you, they will give you this, they will do you, if you do this, they'll do that. I had a conversation with someone yesterday that really was profoundly deeper for me than what they were saying. But this, I'll give you the gist without getting too deep into it. But it was, what I got from it: does anyone own all of your yeses? Does it, if
Mm-hmm.
somebody gives you $3,000 a month, does that mean you always say yes to them? I don't think
Mm-hmm.
so. Like, if it's a gift. So what I said is, someone gave, and they were, well, it's not me, they were talking about someone else. And so it was a husband and wife. The husband gives the wife $3,000 a month, but she said no to him on something. And then that created a big thing. I'm like, she has a right to say no. Well, well, that's not love. It's like, it's no doesn't equate not love. It just is no. And no could be a vent. So, and that's what I was thinking today. If you understand a venting person, because if you're thinking the husband's just giving and he's giving and he's giving, and she said no, then fuck it, then you don't really love me. That I was like, no, that's not it. Maybe get curious about, why would this person be at a no right now, instead of also venting. Now you got two people venting. So if
Yes.
she's venting in a no because something else is going on, and maybe all she can say is no in that moment,
Yes.
rather than saying what's behind the no.
Yes.
This is emotional intelligence, and then
Yes.
relationship intelligence, to understand that, are you going to make this situation better, or are you going to make it worse by what the actions that follow the no? Can you
Yeah.
own somebody's no? You can own the yes. Yes and no, they're on the same continuum. People get to say no. It doesn't matter. And if you're giving, because I said, okay, so is the money, is she an employee? is she required to do? Is it, are you paying for yes? Is that what it is? Or is that, like, I don't necessarily see the connection between, well, he gives her this, so she should never say. I was like, no, people get to stand, like you just said, in whatever their authentic is for that moment. Even if you can't see it, maybe you don't have the capacity to see what's going on, but you could get curious.
Yes.
You could be loving in that moment, because love, we know, transforms.
Yes.
Transforms.
Well, and that's and that sounds like an opportunity of deep transformation.
Ashe.
Because it's this thing about you know, being sovereign and owning yourself. Like, we've been conditioned in a culture that says we belong to other people.
Right.
It's a part of our indoctrination.
Right.
So it is not uncommon for husbands to believe through our enculturation that they own their wives at the subconscious level. That's right. Because that's, and here's why that stuff shows up, because that is the intent in the marriage license, in the state sanctioned marriage, that women are property. So even if they don't say it at the when it was started, we have to understand that energy is real, you all. This, you cannot, just because something isn't seen, or just because something isn't, you have to go back to the original intent, what was really going on. And we like to think like, oh, that's not what's happening. No, people are signing up for things being unconscious of what they're doing. And so what we're doing is we're giving our energy to a person. Like I'm all for people doing whatever they want. I just think it's important for when you're signing these contracts and doing these relationship things, create your own contract. Don't just go into the environment that was created for you and agree to that, because then that is what you will get.
Right.
You know?
Right.
You know, so it's very, go ahead.
No, you finish.
So
you said it's
very important for us to understand that energy is real, our life force, our sense of self. All those are inherited rights. Like you inherited your sense of self from the divine, and like I said, you are responsible for it. So you know, does anybody own your no? Well, we own our own no. And the thing
unless
is
you
that
sell it to them. Are you selling it to them for the house and the trips and the this? Or is that what you're doing? Because many times us as women, we do that. And I'll say that for those who don't know me, I am a married woman. I've been married for 27 years. So I'm coming from it from a really open understanding of what it is to be in a quote unquote contract, and how you can revise it over time, which is what we have done. So, but are you selling yourself? Are you? And this is a question for you to ask yourself, because if you can't say no, what does that mean if it's going to be a thing?
Well, here's the thing is, you know, in the conversation around radical self-love, it's, I mean, this is, so many of us have sold ourselves. You know what I mean? Because that is the nature of what we are involved in this country. It requires that you allow that you are a predator, that other people, and predator is not a negative, you know, like a wolf is a predator. Everything has its natural state, right? Oh, and wolves have they have power in the economic, not the economic, ecological balance of our reality, right? So when we understand the archetypal energies and the agreements, the problem is that we have just been asleep. And so that's why it's important for us to take responsibility. I know for years I had a voice in my head that really believed that somebody did something to me. And because I know now that I create my life, and I have always, that is the nature of this reality. We are always in creation mode. You cannot change that.
Mm-hmm.
So because I create my life, even if I don't believe it or think it, it's like we have to follow the thing that feels like it's going to lead us to freedom. And you're never going to find that through another person.
Oh, Ashe. Wow. That's powerful. That's a lot to ponder
Yeah.
right there.
It
And
just doesn't work that way. Go
we
ahead.
have been groomed for this process.
Yes.
But as we start to wake up, like you say, you got to wake up and you start standing on your square and really being present in the present moment. And you said this in the beginning, really coming to understand what it is you need, what it is you need. We recognize that money is necessary for how things function in this 3D reality here on Earth. That's how it's set up right now. So that is a piece, but what will you do for this money? And how does that affect your place of radical self-love? It doesn't mean that you don't love other, but you love other as you love yourself. So if you're really loving you, then you can really love another.
Yes.
So so I'm present with that. I'm present with that.
Thank you for that. I really appreciate that, because on a Venus day, Venus rules money. And it's Venus rules money, and everybody loves Venus because Venus is money, Venus is love, Venus is relationship.
Honey.
But that's
honey.
That's right. But Venus in the negative, like nobody talks about Venus in the negative.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
The ways that we sell ourselves out, right? Like people like, I don't want to be alone. Like I remember when there was a time in my life, I came into an experience in a relationship, and the relationship was feeling really bad, but I was so afraid of what it was going to mean to be alone. I was so afraid of the untethering process. So it was
stigma of it even? Were you even thinking of the stigma, like what would people say? Was that a part of?
That could have been a part of it, but more than that, it was like, I'm going to have to peel this relationship off of me. And I was afraid of the pain of that.
Okay.
Right? Because I had enmeshed myself so much.
Okay.
I had sold myself.
I understand.
Right? So like I was in this relationship. When I first started the relationship, I remember at the time, I used to didn't watch TV. And the person was a big television watcher. And they basically I allowed myself to be manipulated into watching television because I wanted to be with them. So I abandoned my own rule for myself because this person had a demand in order for me to be in a relationship with them. And so I sold myself.
Okay.
I sold myself, right? Okay. So we're talking about, and so Venus, like the ways that we sell ourselves for the other, the ways that we abandon ourselves for the, like you said, are you for sale? Like if you're going to go into like a marriage, like there was a time when I was dating this man who was like a millionaire, and which doesn't mean that much in this terms in the time now. But I remember him sort of saying to me, well, come and be with me. Because basically I have this lifestyle, and if you're with me, you get this lifestyle. And I said to him, I will have to abandon myself to have that lifestyle. I will have to abandon the journey I'm on. And he was like, let's go to Brazil, let's go to, and I wanted all of that stuff, but I didn't want to abandon the core of who I am to be in a relationship. Like I knew I had work to do, and I knew I wouldn't be able to do it in that. I would just be delaying it. Yeah. And so I said no, and I'm just saying all this to ask us to consider where are the ways that we abandon ourselves. Because there's abandonment and then there's sacrifice, right? So you could sacrifice for a relationship because sacrifice makes things sacred. That's what sacrifice is. It's going to make the experience sacred. But when you abandon yourself, then you create this negative Venetian energy that
Mm.
becomes addictions,
Mm.
codependence,
Mhm.
neediness,
Mhm.
right? Like
Mhm.
that's what happens when Venus goes in the negative. How many
Mhm.
times have you been in a relationship with, or not, have any women here ever been in a relationship with somebody where the sex was so good, but the relationship was fucked?
I'm sure people have experienced that, yes, have
Right.
experienced that. And then you have to decide, like, do you want this crazy? But it's lessons there. Because again, we know
Right.
we create our lives. So
Right.
get the lesson of whatever that is, but don't let it be a place of you putting yourself on the shelf. There's some folks who go through those funky situations, like they need maybe something to shock them
Yes.
into their awakening. I remember one time I was in DC and I was at a light, and the light was by a liquor store, and this man was kicking this woman's butt. I mean, I'm at the light and I was just so, me, big hearted, like, oh my
Mhm.
God, like,
Yeah.
oh, I drove up to where they were and I flung my car door open and I said, get in. And she gets in my car. What the hell am I doing? Right? She gets in my car and I drive around the corner with her and I'm like, like, where do you want me to take you? And she was just like, I don't know, because she's still in the vent.
Right. Yeah.
And but I didn't know what I was
Yeah.
doing. So I take her back to where I had come from, which was a hair salon. And what I knew as I listened to her is that she was going back. That's what
Yeah.
I knew. I was like, she is not ready. I can't rescue her. Like you say, it's
Yeah.
her work to do,
Hmm.
but I wanted her to know somebody cares. Even though I
Yeah.
don't know you, I can't take you home with me. Like, what the hell am I doing? But in the moment, just sisterhood is what flung that car door open.
Yeah.
But what struck me in my heart when we were talking is like, she she not done with this yet. She
Yes.
not done with this yet.
Yeah.
He had called her. We're in the shop. She fussing with him on the phone. I'm like, oh
Yeah.
my God. So should I take you back to the liquor store? Like,
Right.
drive you
Right.
back?
That's
I don't
right.
remember where I took her that night, but it just I knew that she wasn't done with that fight.
Yes.
So
That's
yeah,
right.
yeah.
And so that is the thing that
Mm-hmm.
we that you what I hear you saying is that you get to learn these lessons, right? And that is
Mm-hmm.
the only way
Mm-hmm.
out of it is
Mm-hmm.
to get the lesson of it.
Yeah, yeah.
And getting the lesson of it is really, it's like
Mm-hmm.
it'll propel you into another dimension where you're still working with the energy,
Mm-hmm.
but you have another perspective. So
Yeah.
then the energy gets spun into gold.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm in my own kind of experience like that right now,
Mm-hmm.
as I am really um learning learning how I hold on too long.
Mm-hmm.
And my life has been a life of, like, I remember my grandmother used to say, you one of those people that's gonna have to experience it for yourself. Can't nobody tell you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Can't nobody tell you
Did
don't
nobody
do
tell you?
that.
Yeah,
You can't,
yeah. If
so
you can't learn from counsel, then surely experience will be your teacher.
that's
I mean,
right.
because we're
So
all God and goddesses. So, hey, either way, you're going to
you're
learn.
gonna get it. You're gonna get it. So I have learned by dating, being in relationships with
Mm-hmm.
people who didn't want me.
Mm,
Who
that's painful.
didn't want me.
I'm hugging little Monique right
Thank
now.
you. I
Mm.
appreciate that. You're such a Cancer. I love it. I love it. You're
I
such a
love
mama.
you.
You are such
I
a mama.
want you.
I love you. Thank you so much. But yeah, so I was in relationships where I wasn't wanted
Mm-hmm.
because the relationship with my mother, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so I have spent the last several years just clearing out
Mm-hmm.
everything and everybody so that I could
Mm-hmm.
really get to the core of this thing,
Mm-hmm.
so that I could really break down what is going on, like
Yeah.
celibacy, like really feel.
Mm-hmm.
Because the thing that I have discovered is that you can't take it personal. It's really
Mm-hmm.
not about me. I'm doing the work for the
I,
collective.
I
I'm doing
share.
the work for all Black women. That is the thing with Mars. Mars in Virgo and an in conjunct with Chiron in Aries. Chiron is the wounded healer. So the work that I do in my system is nobody else has to do this. That's what Jesus Christ did. That's the story of Jesus Christ. You hang on the cross and then nobody else has to hang on that cross. It's the cross that you bear, right? So this is the cross that I bear. This cross of abandonment. And so the more I can really show up for myself and know that I don't have to take this personally. I don't have to suffer woe is me, because it's not woe is me. It's we are free. It's not woe is me, it's we are free.
We are free.
I'm doing it. I'm doing this. You don't have to do it. Energetically, you don't. It's an energetic. This is my energy to heal, to transmute, and so it's very important for us to be willing.
I agree.
Feel it. Yep.
I love that.
Then to do the rituals. Let's talk about ritual. You got.
Okay. I want to tell you, and I shared this with Monique earlier today. I did a detox yesterday. Beautiful purge detox. And if any folks on here have done these things, they can be quite physically yucky, because you're physically, literally getting things out of your body that no longer serve. But what I know for sure is that everything on the physical has a metaphysical or an internal creation. So what I did before my detox is that I did my morning ritual, but I ritualized my detox. And I told myself I am clearing all the ways I'm in disharmony with the masculine. I am clearing all the ways I'm in disharmony with the divine feminine, so I can embrace my sister as God, see her as myself. I am clearing the ways that I hold on to anger or even racial tension and hate in my body, because again, our grandmothers were on that pier, our grandmother's grandmother, and we were in their womb at that time, so I don't want to hold that anymore. So as I'm detoxing, I'm recognizing that I'm clearing things physically from my body, but I'm also clearing it from my aura. I'm clearing it from my consciousness. I want to be God, goddess. I am God, goddess, and a goddess doesn't have to carry that stuff. I created it for my ascension, and I'm ready to ascend. So it took about 8 hours. This is one of the cleanses that Dr. Sebi recommends, and I was a little scared to do it after reading about people's reactions and things. But what you and I talked about this morning, I know I am strong because I am a survivor. I'm here and I could do this. I have what it takes to move myself through this. And I know that I'm clearing it for my bloodline. I'm clearing it for my sisters. I'm clearing it for my brothers. I am the divine masculine and the divine feminine in divine harmony. So I'm fresh off of that.
Oh, I love that. I love that. It's so interesting because, first of all, that detoxing and releasing out of the body, I feel like that's the one place people get it wrong, is that they don't release. We're carrying so much.
Let it go.
And
the sickness.
That's right. And we have to let stuff go. It is so, and you have to let it go through ritual. You can't just be like, fuck that. You know what I mean?
But fuck that is a part of it,
like,
but that's not the end of
it.
it.
But then you got to do the ritual and be like, thank you for that. Because the ritual makes it sacred. The ritual is how we sacrifice. You sacrifice the shadow. You sacrifice the gunk. You sacrifice it, and in the sacrificing of it, it makes it sacred. So then that experience becomes a part of your sacred power. I mean, and it's just so profound how magical we are. And I just am in awe. And I've been really struggling a lot, though. You know what I mean? Like since the sun in Scorpio, I have been in a really deep place of, like you said, transforming the relationship to the masculine. And one of the things that I think is so important that we understand is that the masculine is not just men. The masculine is our own internal we have our own internal masculine energy.
Mhm.
We have this, the human body system is balanced.
Mhm.
Masculine, it's probably 51% feminine and 49% masculine.
Mhm.
And how I mean is that internal, external thing. So there's this,
Mhm.
right? This is the yin and the yang. And this
Mhm.
has to happen constantly, right? If
Mhm.
you eat something and you put it in your mouth, that's the feminine. When it
Mhm.
comes out of your butthole, that's the masculine. You know what I mean?
Did
Like, you know what I
she
mean?
just say the masculine was the butthole? She don't
Well,
mean it like that.
no, I don't. I'm just talking about the process of coming
I
in
know.
and going out,
I'm
right?
being silly.
I know. Okay, so but I just want us to see these energies and ideas around masculine and feminine as something that's deeply personal to us.
Mhm.
That it's not just a man, right? It really is something that is in our internal thing. Our mind is the masculine, our sensory body is the feminine. And
Mhm.
we have organs that are holding both masculine and feminine, like the heart pumps the blood, that is
Mhm.
a masculine thing, and then it
Mhm.
sends the blood to everyone else. That is a feminine thing. Right?
Mhm.
Like,
There has to be harmony, and it has to
right.
exist first within you so that you can create it outside. And
That's
if you're
right.
having all kinds of situations and sensations and disharmonies in your body, go internal first, okay? The way modern medicine, and I say modern with
Mhm.
parentheses around it because it's really archaic medicine is set up, really doesn't teach us to do that. And it doesn't teach us to listen deeply.
Right.
You and me, have taken time to be quiet, and what we find in the subtleties are things we could never find in the loudness of
That's
being.
right. Or at a doctor's office.
Oh
Like,
gosh,
there are
yeah.
things that go on with my body that now that I can just sit and ask and talk to my body, what do I need, what's going on,
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
I was telling you that I would hear the morning doves
Mhm.
all the time. I'd be walking down the
Mhm.
street and 6 morning doves would fly by me, and
Mhm.
I'm like, huh, what is that? And then I go look up morning doves, and it says grief.
Wow.
You're holding grief, you're
Mhm.
holding on to sadness.
Mhm.
Let go, let go.
Mhm. Now you know
That's
what to
deep,
let go of.
right? And
Mhm.
so that when you talk about that deep listening, the deep listening is not, it's
Mhm.
to your body, but it is to the environment
Mhm.
around you, because the universe around you,
Mhm.
the world around you is your universe, and it is constantly sending you messages for
Mhm.
symbolism to understand. This is, as women, how we need to really function in the earth. Like, that's the wisdom. Like, the universe is talking to me. When I walk outside, the wind blows to give me a message. Like, what is
Mhm.
it that I need to hear? What is
Mhm.
it? And listening to the body, talking to the breast, talking
Mhm.
to the feet, right? Because all
Mhm.
of these energies in our bodies are connected. Your hands are Gemini, your feet
Mhm.
are
Gosh.
Pisces, your
Right.
kidneys are Libra. So everything is connected in
Mhm.
these really intimate ways that we just haven't been taught. So
Mhm.
the deep listening will lead you to things that you wouldn't even think that you would find.
Mhm. Oh, that's so beautiful.
It really
That's
is.
so beautiful. I'm happy.
And
One
it's really,
thing. Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Oh, you go.
No.
Like, you go. You sent me a clip yesterday. It was a clip of Audre Lorde. Last time we talked about Audre Lorde, quote unquote feminist. I don't really resonate with that feminist word. And she coined the phrase womanist, which was, and I had to read the definition of what she defined womanist to be, but it was feminist, but it was more from an African American woman's perspective, because some of the feminine, some of these terms don't necessarily resonate. And I don't, like I said, resonate with feminists per se. I'm a humanist,
Yeah.
because we got the divine masculine and divine feminine in order. But this clip was talking about eroticism versus pornography, and understanding like our innate sensuality and how that is a sensation and a power that should pervade our entire existence. And if any of you are familiar with Audre Lorde, you can check out different clips. I've read any of her books. It was a very powerful, and think she wrote this thing like in the 70s too. You know,
Yes,
she's speaking this way in the
exactly.
70s,
Right.
and it was very, very powerful. So what are your thoughts on that? What do you
Well,
think about that?
the reason I love it because it's, the title of our podcast is Liberated Pussy. And the thing that I aspire to for myself is to be free in my body and to not feel owned by behaviors or ideas or systems that are not in alignment with my own evolution and healing. Like my desire is to fully own and embody myself. And that means that I'm free, right? So I'm not holding ideas of like marriage and monogamy for me, right? That doesn't feel like freedom to me. I know that I've had experiences where people get into relationships and there's a requirement that you have to let go of all of your male friends, right? Like I want to create my own rules and laws for how I function. And as I have been doing that for the last several years, what I have discovered is that my erotic nature has been blocked. And it's been blocked by a belief that my eroticism is connected to men.
Right.
That it's connected to something outside of me. And so because of that, I have not owned my sensual nature. I have not owned my erotic nature. And that is your creative power. It's not just sex.
Ashe. It's so much more than sex. It's how you move through the world. It's your Venus Oshun energy.
That's right.
It's your gift. Yeah.
That's right.
Go ahead.
No, go.
What I was going to say is what helped me a lot, I would say, in the last maybe 20 years. I've been a dancer my whole life, you know that. But in the last 20 years, I've been journeying through belly dance. And belly dance really opened me up to my sensuality with just me. It wasn't, and our teacher taught us that. She said, this dance was done historically in groups of women. The shoulders, the booty bouncing, the booty, the sensual winding. It mimics the way we bring children into the world, how we get children into our bodies, how we bring them into the world, but just having fun, playing in your body, enjoying each piece of it, just as it is right now. It doesn't have to be like women and in our society, you think, well, I got to work out first before I do this. It's like, no, we've always said, come as you are and play as you are, even as you're recreating and reshaping your body and you're shifting your body with your mind. So for me, that journey or this journey, because I'm still in the belly dance journey, helped me to really own my sensuality and knowing that it wasn't necessarily about men. Now, they can, of course, enjoy it and enjoy the goddess that I've created because I have connected with that, but it wasn't about that. It was about connecting deeply to my inner goddess. And I'm blessed to be able to continue that journey and hopefully help women come home to their eroticism and sensuality right at home, seated in their own divine sacred womb, and share with the world. So our teacher would say, that's not what it's for, to seduce a man. It's a fringe benefit.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
But that's not necessarily what it's for. We know it's our seat of power. We know it's our seat of creation. What do you want to create, goddesses?
Yeah.
What do you want to create when you have joy coming up from your womb and joy flowing out of your yoni and joy in your breast? You're not creating dis-ease.
Yes.
You're creating this.
Yes. That's such a powerful thing around this energy that emanates from us. And we have been given so many narratives to be ashamed about it. I remember when I was in the Christian church, it was always like, cover up your knees. The women sitting on the front row have to cover up. Why? Because
they got the little handkerchief.
Right, because the pastor's looking up your skirt. Why? Because the pussy is up there. And here's the thing, pussy is a magnet. It's undeniable. Pussy is a magnet. And the energy is what I'm saying. The energy of the feminine, the eroticism is a magnet. And so we have been told to tamp it down,
We
put it
have. We
away.
have.
You can't have that. That's too much. And now there's this huge shift to like redefine womanhood so that
Mhm.
we get further and further away from the
Yeah.
core, the
Yeah.
seeds that make us who we are.
So to what you just said, put
Mhm.
it away, but then pull it out in like a pornographic way, which again makes it not necessarily for you. It's a tool for someone else to use when they want. But when you're sensual or erotic, it's for you first. And
Right.
whoever you decide to bless with that
Right.
yumminess, that
That's
just
right.
flows because that's just who you are. When you put it away, it's a way for everybody. It's a way for you. It's a way for your mate because you packed it up. But when
That's
you
right.
unpack it, joy flows.
Yes.
Ah,
Yes.
that's what I got from Audre Lorde. That's what she was saying initially.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now I thought it was interesting that she was, a big lesbian.
Yeah.
That was a whole piece, and that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
But folks get to let it manifest however they want to. Like if that's their jam, that was her jam.
Yeah. I mean, I think eroticism is genderless,
I think
honestly.
so
You know what I mean? Like
too.
I really
Yeah.
do. And I
Yeah.
I I am not a woman who, and at this day in my life, I'm not a woman who has sex with other women. That could change. I'm
Hmm.
not, because as I heal, who knows what will happen, but I do.
Hmm.
Here's what I am. I am a woman who is moved by all sorts of sensual sexual activity.
Hmm.
And like bees turn me on. You know what I mean? Like flies. I the other day I was walking down the street and I saw two flies fucking in midair. It turned me on, right? You know
Well,
what I mean? It's like
the midair thing is interesting, but explain. Okay, like y'all can do it and fly. That's pretty
I
cool.
know. I was like, how y'all doing that? Like, right? So it's so how I feel like eroticism is boundless. I
Hmm.
feel like it doesn't, and that has been one of the things. Oh, this is so great. Because of the way that I was raised in that Christian dogma, I would often, as women, I know you guys understand this, you just feel sex all the time. Sometimes
Hmm.
sex is just on you. You just
Hmm.
can't, like, or the energy, the erotic
Hmm.
energy is just
Hmm.
with you, right? But I would feel so uncomfortable with it because
Hmm.
it feels so sexual, and I
Hmm.
wasn't given the dialogue or the
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
understanding to work with it, to play
Hmm.
with it, to is because what happens is, when you're 14 or 15, men start smelling
They
you, right? Men start,
do. They
right?
do.
And so don't be fast. So then
Hmm.
you got to put it away. And
I didn't
it's
even know what being fast was. Like when I was being fast, what did that mean? Like, what does that mean? Like, what am I doing that's quote unquote fast? If I'm circling my hips, I'm gyrating my hips, so that's the problem. Like people will see little girls dancing and they're like, "Oh, that's wrong. You shouldn't do that." But we naturally do that.
That's
Like you'll see a
right.
baby,
That's right.
moving and that kind of thing. And
Yeah.
why are folks making it? Well, we know why they're making it wrong
Right.
because they want to own it. They
Right.
can't own it if you're free to wind your hips at 2. What you
That's
gonna
right.
do at 16?
That's right.
Mhm.
And it's very important as women and girls, even, that all of us, that we begin to have conversations
Mhm.
about this
Yes.
without the
Yes.
shame, without the need to have it be about men,
Mhm.
without the need to understand this is your power.
Mhm.
This is the thing that creates life. This is the
Mhm.
thing that brings in the bees to the flowers. This
Mhm.
is it in your system, in
Mhm.
your body. And if you can hold that and work with that, then you can create a universe based on that.
Magic. Magic. Okay.
Yeah.
Magic. Yes. Yes,
Um,
yes, yes.
so let's talk about the class that you're doing,
Okay.
and so we can begin to, yeah, give people.
Okay. So I am hosting a wonderful class with my goddess sister Monique called Goddess Technology. Goddess technology, which is the technology that innately rests in us all. Some of it is sleeping, but we're here to wake it up, ladies. We are here to wake it up. So we are hosting a free class, a free introductory class on Thursday, September 7th. And after that initial class, there will be 3 consecutive Thursday classes. We'll start with talking about the divine feminine archetype and creating battery. What does that mean? Well, of course, you got to come to class to find out. We'll talk about divine union. How can we be in harmony with our divine masculine and our divine feminine? What does that look like? And then we'll get into that sacred womb and how we can charge her and ignite the magic that we sit on, ladies. We're literally sitting on magic.
Yes, we are.
So if we're sitting on it, let's bring it up and out and use it for our benefit. We own our yeses and we own our nos. We own ourselves. How can we be sovereign beings and see our sister as ourself? Greet that goddess.
Yeah.
Look in her eyes. Love her as you love yourself. Greet that king. Greet that God and love him as you love yourself. This is what we're talking about. We're doing the sacred work that is very internal, but is so seen in the external. It is so real.
Yeah.
If you don't know, you just don't know. But we are here to tell you, and we're here to share, and we're here to grow and heal together. So we start on September 7th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I believe that's 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. The sessions will be recorded, so if you aren't able to join us live, you can for sure catch the recordings. But we are doing the work to awaken each other,
Yes.
to awaken and to heal and to ignite. Sisters, it's time. It's time.
There is no more time. This is it. This is
We're
it.
here.
This is it.
Yes.
So I am really excited about that. And you can go register for the first free class. The first class is free, and we'll give you all the details, and then you decide if you're going to move forward or not. And you can go register in my link tree, which is in my bio, at Monique Ruffin here at Instagram, and Dina's as well. Where can they find it in your link?
It's in my link tree as well, and it's the top link. It says Goddess Technology. So just click there and you'll get the link to join that first introductory conversation. It's a conscious conversation, but it's a conversation guided toward bringing you back home to you.
Yes.
Which is it's resonant.
And the thing that I find for me, the thing that's most important is because if you are a woman like myself who has had to learn through difficult lessons in love, whose life has been filled with one challenging relationship with the masculine, with a man after the other. And if you, like, I had to really take responsibility for that. I had to let go of stories that he did this or they did that or da-da-da. I had to really go in and do the deep work to get clear about what's coming in on my end that's generating that. Why is it, and this is the kind of work that helped me really get to the place where I could see myself, where I could see where I was generating experiences that landed in heartbreak or despair or depression or betrayal. I was at the core of it, the way I was being with myself. And it is the lesson that keeps on giving. So I encourage you all, if you want to transform your relationship with the masculine, if you want to have deeper, honest, loving, sensual, connected relationships with the masculine, this work will help you get there through your connection to yourself. There is no other way to get to it.
No other way. No other way. The ways they told us when we were little girls, it may take you 50, 60 years to do all of that stuff. They say, be a good girl, go to work for 40 years, get the watch. They don't even get watches no more. Do the marriage, have the kids. And many folks do all of that and find they're unhappy at the end of that because your happiness was never in that. It's an inside game.
It is.
It's not in anybody else. It's not in your children. It's not in your work. It's not with your family relationships. Yeah. It's with you inside your eyes in the mirror with you.
Yeah.
And once you have it there, you can have it everywhere.
Yes.
But it's work. Like you said, it's work. It's some things we have to do to uncover that and to shed the cultural conditioning that has everybody on some bullshit, not just Black women, Black women in particular, but everyone. Everyone gets to the end of that fallacy and be like, man, this is some bull.
Right. And it's just that way because we've been sold a bill of bullshit. Like all the Cinderella, Snow White, Happily Ever After, you know, all of those things, literally deliberately conditioning a young girl to think that her happiness is going to come from outside of
Yeah.
her.
And don't forget church. Church does it too.
Jesus, are you kidding? Yes, Jesus, absolutely. Church did it to me the most. Like, that was the thing that I was really like, I need Jesus to come. And I used to speak in tongues and all that. I mean, not that anything's wrong with that. I mean, I've translated that stuff in my own spirituality now. But I really believed that there was a Jesus that was coming from open in the clouds. And I was waiting. So yeah, so there you go. So
There you
thank you
go.
so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mama. Thank you, all those who joined us in person. We love you. Happy Venus Day. I showed earlier my beautiful rose quartz that is here with us today, just giving off beautiful Venus energy. So I hope you received this offering from Monique and I, this conscious conversation from our hearts to yours. We love you. We appreciate you. Until we meet again.
Yeah. Thank you all.
All righty. Bye-bye. Love you.
Bye. I love you.